The room froze in that instant, the air thick with the sharp tang of pine from the Christmas tree we'd hauled in just hours before. My younger brother, Ethan, held up the small hand-painted wooden box my daughter Lily had spent weeks crafting in her high school art class, a treasure chest of sorts, filled with tiny notes of gratitude she'd written for him. Her face, flushed with the innocent pride of a 14-year-old, crumpled as his words sliced through the holiday chatter like a knife through wrapping paper. "Cheap, worthless trash," he sneered, tossing it back onto the pile of gifts with a dismissive flick of his wrist. The box clattered against a stack of glossy packages, its lid popping open, spilling those heartfelt scraps like confetti from a funeral. Lily's eyes welled up, her lower lip trembling, but she bit it back, forcing a smile that shattered my heart. I stood there, fists clenched at my sides, blood roaring in my ears, a fury so primal it blurred the edges of the room. How dare he? This man, my blood, who'd wormed his way back into our lives after years of absence, now spitting venom at my child. I forced myself to breathe, the metallic taste of rage coating my tongue. Ethan lounged back on the couch, his designer shirt rumpled from too much eggnog, a smug grin playing on his lips as if he'd just delivered a punchline. Our mother, frail in her armchair by the fire, chuckled nervously, waving it off. Oh, Ethan, always the joker. But I saw the flicker in her eyes, the same enabling blindness she'd shown our whole lives. Lily excused herself quietly, slipping upstairs with the grace of someone who'd learned too young how to hide hurt. I followed her gaze, my mind reeling. This wasn't just an insult. It was the culmination of a betrayal that had been festering like an untreated wound. Ethan, the golden boy who'd squandered his inheritance on failed ventures and bad bets, had returned 6 months ago, hat in hand, begging for a place to stay. I'd let him in against my better judgment for Mom's sake. But now I felt the first stirrings of something darker, a resolve hardening in my chest like cooling steel. That night, as the house settled into uneasy silence, I paced the kitchen, the linoleum cold under my bare feet. The fridge hummed softly, a mocking reminder of normalcy. Lily had cried herself to sleep in my arms, her sobs muffled against my shirt. "Why does Uncle Ethan hate me, Dad?" she'd whispered, and I'd lied saying he didn't, that he was just tired. But inside, denial cracked like thin ice. Hate. No, it was worse. Indifference laced with entitlement. I'd seen the signs. The way he'd eyed our modest home with barely concealed disdain, the subtle digs at my job as a mechanic, the loans he'd borrowed from Mom's savings without asking. And now this. My thoughts spiraled into fantasies, grabbing him by the collar, slamming him against the wall, watching fear replace that arrogance. But no, that was too quick, too merciful. Revenge, if it came, needed to be precise, a scalpel not a hammer. The next morning, sunlight pierced the frost-laced windows, casting harsh shadows across the breakfast table. Ethan sauntered in, hair tousled, grabbing a mug of coffee without a word. Mom fussed over him, plating eggs and bacon as if he were still the boy who'd won every little league trophy. Lily sat across from me, picking at her toast, her eyes downcast. I watched Ethan, my jaw tight, searching for cracks in his facade. "Sleep well?" I asked, my voice steady, though my pulse thrummed with suppressed rage. He shrugged, smirking. "Like a baby. That gift from Lily. Man, kids these days, right? No offense, bro, but she could use some real art lessons." The words landed like blows, but I swallowed them, forcing a laugh that tasted like bile. "She's 14, Ethan." It came from the heart. He rolled his eyes, sipping his coffee. "Hearts don't pay bills. Speaking of, Mom mentioned you might spot me a few hundred. Got a sure thing lined up." Mom nodded eagerly from the stove. "Your brother's always been the entrepreneur, Jack. Remember that app idea he had?" I nodded, but inside resentment boiled. Entrepreneur. More like parasite. I'd worked double shifts at the garage to keep this roof over our heads after Dad died, while Ethan partied through his 20s. And now he was bleeding us dry, insulting my daughter in the process. As breakfast dragged on, I excused myself to the garage, the scent of oil and metal grounding me. Tools gleamed on the workbench, wrenches, hammers, things that could fix or destroy. My mind wandered to darker tools. Information, secrets. Ethan had always been sloppy with his phone, leaving it unlocked. What skeletons hid in those messages? Later that afternoon, while he napped off his hangover, I slipped into the guest room. The air was stale, reeking of his cologne and unwashed clothes. His phone lay on the nightstand, screen glowing faintly. Heart pounding, I picked it up, guilt warring with justification. This was invasion, but so was his presence in our lives. Swiping through, I found texts, dozens from a woman named Carla. "Miss you, babe. When are you ditching that dump?" And his replies. "Soon. Once I get the old ladies will sorted. Brother's a pushover." My stomach twisted. Mom's will. She'd updated it recently, including Ethan despite my warnings. But there was more. Photos of luxury cars, receipts for extravagant dinners charged to a card in Mom's name. Betrayal crystallized. He wasn't here for family. He was here to plunder. Humiliation burned hot, mingling with heartbreak for Mom, who'd defended him blindly. I replaced the phone, slipping out, my mind a storm of obsession. That evening, as snow began to fall outside, blanketing the yard in deceptive peace, I sat by the fire, feigning normalcy. Ethan regaled us with stories of his glory days. His voice booming, oblivious to the shift in me. Lily avoided his gaze, her silence a dagger. Inside I plotted, subtle at first. I'd start with questions, probing his plans, lulling him into complacency. Doubt crept in. Was I becoming the monster? But no, this was justice. For Lily, for Mom, for the years I'd sacrificed. Days blurred into a tense routine. I watched Ethan like a hawk, noting his habits. Late nights on his laptop, furtive calls in the backyard where the wind carried whispers of deceit. One evening, as rain pelted the windows, turning the world into a gray haze, he cornered me in the kitchen. "Hey Jack, about that loan." Cut him off, voice calm. "What's the rush? Got something big cooking?" He hesitated, eyes narrowing. "Just business. You wouldn't understand." The condescension fueled my resolve. That night, alone in my study, the desk lamp casting long shadows, I delved deeper. Using my old computer, I searched public records. Quietly, methodically. Bankruptcies, liens, a trail of failed schemes. But the real gem, a pending lawsuit from a former partner accusing him of fraud. My fingers trembled on the mouse. This was ammunition. Fantasies evolved, exposing him at a family gathering, watching his world crumble. But fear nipped at the edges. What if Mom sided with him? What if Lily saw me as vindictive? Moral conflict gnawed as weeks passed. Winter deepened, the house creaking under snow's weight, mirroring the pressure building inside me. I confided fragments to my wife, Sarah, in hushed tones after lights out. "He's using us," I whispered, her hand warm on my arm. She sighed, eyes weary. "But revenge, Jack. That's not you. Isn't it?" I shot back, resentment flaring. Her doubt mirrored my own, but the obsession grew, a cold fire. I began small acts, hiding his keys to disrupt his meetings, subtly questioning Mom about her finances in his presence, watching him squirm. Tension simmered, subtle hints of my unraveling plan. One night, over dinner, as steam rose from pot roast, I dropped a casual bomb. "Heard about that lawsuit, Ethan? Old partner not happy." His fork paused midair, face paling. "What? That's nothing. Dismissed ages ago." But his eyes darted, betraying lies. Lily watched, sensing the undercurrent, her innocence fracturing. Heartbreak twisted anew. My pursuit risked her world too. Yet resolve hardened. The betrayal ran too deep. Revenge was inevitable. As spring thawed the ground, mud churning underfoot, I escalated. I contacted the lawsuit plaintiff anonymously, feeding details from Ethan's phone. Guilt surged. Was this crossing a line? But visions of Lily's tear-streaked face propelled me. Inner thoughts warred. Hero or villain? The quiet calculation built suspense. Each day a step closer to confrontation. The air hung heavy with the scent of blooming lilacs as I pulled into the driveway, gravel crunching under tires like bones underfoot. Months had passed since that Christmas insult, but the wound festered, driving my every move. Ethan had grown wary, his smirks forced, eyes scanning me for threats. I'd played the long game, lulling him with feigned forgiveness while gathering evidence like a detective in a noir film. Screenshots, bank statements, even recordings of his late-night calls boasting about milking the family cow. Obsession consumed me. Sleep came in fits, haunted by dreams of justice served cold. But doubt lingered. Would this destroy us all? One humid evening, thunder rumbling in the distance, I confronted Mom in her garden, the soil rich and damp between her fingers. "He's stealing from you," I said, voice low, handing her a folder of printouts. She paused, gloves caked in earth, eyes clouding. "Ethan." "No, Jack. You're mistaken." Denial hit like a gut punch, but I pressed. "Look at the charges. Thousands gone." She waved it away, but a seed of doubt planted. That night, as lightning forked the sky, illuminating the house in stark flashes, Ethan packed his bags in a huff after a business call. "Heading out for a bit," he muttered, avoiding my gaze. I nodded, hiding satisfaction. Phase 1, isolation. But resentment brewed. Why did he get to slink away unscathed? No, the pursuit demanded more. I tracked him via an app I'd slipped onto his phone during one of his naps. Morally gray, yes, but necessary. He holed up in a seedy motel on the town's edge, neon signs buzzing like angry hornets. Weeks later, under a relentless summer sun that baked the asphalt, I made my move. Sarah begged me to stop, her voice trembling over coffee one morning. "This obsession, it's changing you, Jack. Think of Lily." Guilt stabbed, but anger overrode. He humiliated her. Betrayed us. She touched my hand. "Revenge won't heal that." Her words echoed as I drove to the motel, heart hammering. The lot was sparse, air thick with exhaust and desperation. I knocked on his door, folder in hand. He opened it, shirtless, eyes bleary. "What the hell?" "We need to talk," I said, stepping in uninvited. The room reeked of stale smoke and cheap whiskey, blinds drawn against the glare. He laughed, but it rang hollow. "About what?" "Your paranoia." I laid out the evidence on the bed, texts, fraud docs, the works. "Leave town. Or this goes to the cops." His face twisted, fear then rage. "You spied on me. You're sick, brother." The word brother ignited fury. "You call me that after what you've done. Insulting Lily, stealing from Mom." He lunged, but I sidestepped, years of garage work making me stronger. We grappled, knocking over a lamp with a crash that echoed like thunder. His fist grazed my jaw, pain blooming, but I pinned him, knee on his chest. "Admit it," I growled. "Fine," he spat, eyes wild. "I needed the money. Mom always favored you, the steady one. I deserved my share." Heartbreak mingled with triumph. His confession, recorded on my phone hidden in my pocket. But as I released him, cold resolve faltered. Was this enough? Or did poetic justice demand ruin? I left him gasping, driving home through a downpour that mirrored my turmoil. Sarah waited, arms crossed. "Did it feel good?" "No," I admitted, voice cracking. Doubt flooded. Had I become the betrayer? But the plan unfolded. I sent anonymous tips to his creditors, watched from afar as his world unraveled. Repossessions, evictions. Suspense built in quiet moments. Checking updates online, heart racing at each downfall. Lily noticed my distraction, her questions probing. "Dad, are you okay?" I hugged her, guilt heavy. "Just work stuff." Summer waned, leaves turning fiery as my resolve. Ethan called one night, voice slurred. "You did this. Why?" "You know why," I replied, hanging up. Obsession peaked. Fantasies of his rock bottom satisfying yet hollow. The twist came on an autumn evening, wind whispering through bare branches. Mom collapsed, a stroke from stress I'd unwittingly amplified. At the hospital, beeps and antiseptic assaulting my senses, she whispered. Ethan. He called. Said you drove him away. Guilt crashed like waves. But worse. Ethan arrived, disheveled, eyes red. This your revenge? He accused in the hallway, voices echoing. Before I could retort, a nurse interrupted. Family only. We sat vigil, tension thick. In the quiet hours he confessed more. Our father's secret. Ethan wasn't his biological son, a product of Mom's affair. Dad had known, favored me to compensate. Ethan's betrayal stemmed from lifelong resentment. His insults a lash out at the perfect family. Shock numbed me. My revenge, justified in my mind, now felt cruel. As Mom recovered, we talked. Raw, honest. Ethan left town for good, but not broken. He'd found a job, started therapy. In the end, the payoff was psychological. My obsession cost me peace, but forged uneasy forgiveness. Lily's gift, once discarded, now sat on my desk, a reminder that revenge's fire burns both ways. The betrayal healed not in destruction, but in truth's harsh light.